You know that feeling when you think things can't get any worse? You think it's finally over. We have momentum going back our way. Everything should be going fine. And then it doesn't. It doesn't. Wild end up losing this one 6-3 to the Dallas Stars. A game we couldn't afford to lose. No, we couldn't afford to lose this one because Dallas had 65 points coming into this and we had 67. With that win, they are tied with us for third in the Central. Luckily, we still somehow have a game in hand because their record is 32-20-3 and our record is 32-19-3. So that one advantage that we had over them is somehow still keeping us alive. But if we keep playing the way we played in this game, frankly, kiss the playoffs goodbye. I mean, I want to say I know what to do to solve this, but let's just go over how this game went. So, starting from the beginning, it's prime time, 4 Eastern on TNT. The whole nation gets the ability to view this game. We get not only Matt Dumba back in the lineup, who's been out for a while, but also Matt Zuccarello, who was out against Buffalo. We get both those two players back, and that is huge for us. That is huge. Because we don't have to rely on Kalen Addison or Mason Shaw, which I like Kalen Addison, but he needs a little bit of work, and I'd like to have a player who has been proven there, specifically our alternate captain. That'd be nice to have. So we get those players back. And in fact, in the Central, it is a lot closer than you think, because sandwiched in between us and the Stars coming into this was the Predators at 66 points. So it was us at 67 in third place. Then it was the Predators at 66 points in fourth place. And then, with 65 points, was the Stars in fifth place. The Stars had won 3 straight and 7 of their last 10 coming into this. And Minnesota's last home win was on Valentine's Day against Detroit. Now, that's a little bit misleading because we've only played 2 of their home games in between then. It was against arguably 2 of the best teams in the NHL in Calgary and Florida. But we have not been good. No, we have been awful. And with this loss today, we have now lost 8 of our last 10, I believe. Maybe that stat's different now. Maybe it's we've lost 8 of our... my God, this... it always happens. It always with Minnesota sports teams, it always happens. I should get used to it, but I never do. I never do. Anyway, in net, it was Oettinger versus Kähkönen. Oettinger, who has been a bright spot for Dallas, considering they had goaltender woes early on, and now looks like they've found their cornerstone. Former Minnesota kid, too, from Lakeville. So it's Oettinger versus Kähkönen. In my mind, Kähkönen's in net, so we should be good. We should be good. And in the beginning, it seemed like kind of the same way that the Wild had always played these games. They always start out fairly strong. They always start out getting a few chances in the opponent's end and generating a little bit of pressure. Not nothing to really build upon, but, you know, it's good chances to start off with. At 14:04, there was some sort of scrum in front of Kähkönen. Again, taking notes again, trying to figure out how to make sense of how the Wild are free-falling. At 13:56, Tuft and Foligno get into it, or Tufty and Foligno. We'll get back to Tufty later, but those two scramble into it, and it ends up with a 4-on-4 for both teams. Nothing comes out of it for either side. Kähkönen makes a great save at 12:40. Robertson gets an interference penalty at 11:50. So, the Wild get a power play to start the game. And both of our special teams have been awful, specifically our power play, which has 1 goal in, I want to say it's last 20 attempts. That might be a worse statistic now, considering what happened in this game. As you can expect, nobody shoots on the power play, and nothing comes out of it. Dallas ends up holding the line multiple times, and we can never really generate anything. And Freddie Gaudreau did not have a good game. He was turning over the puck multiple times, and he was just looking out of it. But despite all of that, despite the terrible power play, the Wild score first. Nico Sturm gets his 9th of the season at 9:08 into the first period. Assist from Bukestad, which is his 5th of the season, and Duhaime, who gets his 9th assist of the season. The fourth line for Minnesota was seemingly the only line for most of the game that actually was generating chances and actually giving a damn about the game. So the fourth line tried. I will give credit to the fourth line, and they do it well here because Duhaime ends up getting tripped on this play. The ref's arm goes up, they catch it. Bukestad gets to the puck first, feeds it in front to Sturm. Sturm goes into the slot, backhands it right past Ottinger. 1-0 Minnesota. So thank God for the fourth line and actually them competing. So we're up 1-0. Then at 4:08, the Wild continue to keep pressure on Dallas because Dallas keeps throwing the puck to random areas. They look like the Wild. It's weird. They look like how the Wild look earlier or later in this game. They just keep throwing random pucks into the neutral zone. The Wild continue to go back in and continue to get pressure on Jake Ottinger. Multiple close chances and a few iffy calls by the ref. I'm not going to say they're terrible calls. Maybe one of them was in here, but again, ticky-tacky calls. You should be better than to have the refs bail you out. But then there's a turning point. With 57 seconds left in the first period, Duhaime ends up getting a delay of game penalty after Robertson pushes him into the boards and Duhaime tries to get it out, but it accidentally goes into the stands. Therefore, Duhaime is in the penalty box. And this sequence right here was just kind of what made the wheels fall off for Minnesota. Dallas ends up scoring a power play goal from Joe Pavelski, his 22nd of the season, with 0.9 seconds left. Assists come from Seguin, which is his 14th, and Suter, remember him, which is his 20th of the season. Basically, what happened on this play is there was Seguin driving to the front of the net. Gaudreau ends up pushing Seguin into Kähkönen, causing Kähkönen, Seguin, and Gaudreau to all fall down. The puck ends up squirting free to Pavelski. Pavelski just kind of whacks at it and manages to get it in front and get it into the net. Now, Dean Evason, being the genius that he is, decides to challenge for goaltender interference. And quite obviously, you can see from the view that Gaudreau pushes Seguin into Kähkönen. And so we end up losing the challenge, which causes Dallas to get another power play to start the second period. And after the end of the first period, it's basically just special teams must be better. We give up a power play goal to Dallas, and we can't score one ourselves. That is as worse as you can get, and we are awful on special teams. And that is basically what is killing us. We are awful on special teams. It's weird here because it says, according to this game, that Dallas didn't get a power play goal, but I'm nearly certain this was in the power play. Even still, giving up a power play goal like that. Yeah, it is on the power play. Well, why is this saying this is wrong? Dallas ends up getting 2 power play goals because of that. So they get their first one of the game from Joe Pavelski. They say there's 3 seconds left on the clock. The clock showed 0.9, but regardless, it is 1-1, and the life is sucked out of the building that quickly. So then we go to the second period, where, of course, apparently there's an interesting stat that they showed during the game. Minnesota's penalty kill had allowed 12 goals on their last 28 attempts. That is, they said, equivalent to 57% on the penalty kill, which is awful. Absolutely awful. And to rub salt into the wound, Jason Robertson gets his 27th of the season on the power play, 18:22 left in the second. Assists go to John Klingberg, his 26th of the season, and Jamie Benn, his 17th of the season. Basically, the shot was stopped by Kähkönen, and nobody picked up Robertson on the back door, and he basically puts in a garbage goal. And because of that, the game would slowly slip away. So now that stat would become Minnesota's penalty kill 13 goals on their last 29 attempts. That bad. But it gets worse because Riley Tufte, who if you remember from the first time Dallas came to Minnesota this season, former UMD Bulldog from Coon Rapids, Minnesota, he was going to play his first NHL game against Minnesota. The first time we played them. That 7-2 victory. Oh, how long ago that was, and how I wish we'd kick teams' ass like that again. But anyway, Riley Tufte was trying desperately because he knows all his friends and family are in Minnesota, so he tries to get everybody a bunch of tickets and stuff like that. Even Nick Bukestad helps him out with tickets, trying to help him, and he was originally plugged into the lineup because one of the Stars players had tested positive for COVID, but then they later revealed, like 45 minutes before the game, that it was a false positive, and that player, I don't know who it was that tested positive, that player got to go back in, and Tufte had to be a healthy scratch. So a dick move by the Dallas Stars. Nonetheless, he comes back into this game, and he gets his first NHL goal. 16:47 left in the second period. Assist from Klingberg is 27th, and Glendening, which is his 4th, now that I'm looking at it. Great. Basically, the shot from the point was stopped by Kähkönen, who just could not control rebounds to save his life in this game. He was stopped by Kähkönen. Tufte was battling against Matt Zuccarello. Significant size difference in front of the net. I don't know where Kulikov was on this. He was the defenseman supposed to get him. Kulikov's nowhere to be found. Tufte's fighting off Zook. And Kähkönen tries to sprawl down to stop it, trying to lay down this way, but the puck goes right underneath his arm. And it's 3-1 that quickly. 3-1 that quickly. Dallas has stolen momentum that quickly, and there's just nothing. Nothing going for Minnesota. Eventually, Minnesota hits a crossbar. Eriksson Ek hits a crossbar about a minute later. Bukestad gets tangled up. I'm not going to say he was interfered with. No call. I was just bitter at that point. And once again, the fourth line, though, still producing. Sturm gets a close chance on a 2-on-1, but great play from Dallas defenseman at that point. Manages to get the puck away. But, once again, actually, why do I even say but anymore? Lindell gets an interference penalty at 13:53 left in the second period. So, of course, you know that Minnesota's not going to score on it. Once again, a useless power play, but the fourth line continues to get some close chances. Nobody else seemed to really do anything. Not Kaprizov, not Fiala, especially not Gaudreau, but he would... Anyway. Oh, then it comes to 10:08 left in the second period, and Jason Robertson gets another goal, his 28th of the season, with an assist from Roope Hintz, his 23rd of the season, to make it 4-1 Dallas. Basically, the shot gets screened, like a light screen, but it's a little ways out, and it goes right underneath the arm, like right here, underneath the arm of Kähkönen, and barely squeezes through. At that point, Dean Evason had enough and pulls him. So then Cam Talbot goes back into the game, or goes into the game for the first time. And at that point, there was a stat that was shown that says we are giving up 4.25 goals per game since Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, that win against Detroit at home. Since Valentine's Day, we have given up 4.25 goals a game. And at this point, I was just getting annoyed with Darren Panger because as much as he's a nice, concerning guy, he's annoying. He is incredibly annoying. It's like that weird ringing in your ears. It's like how a dog feels when you give him a high-pitched noise. That's what it sounds like hearing Darren Pang on the TNT broadcast. I have no problem with Brendan Burke. He's fine. But Darren Pang is annoying. And that's part of the reason why I hate the Blues, because I don't like Darren Pang's voice. Anyway, the fourth line is still the only one that generates anything. And I wrote down a few players that I thought had been a little quiet, or at least on the scoring front. Goligoski, he hadn't really done much. Eriksson Ek, when's the last time he scored? I can't remember the last time he scored. Gaudreau, it's been a while since he's contributed. And Foligno, he did get one. I'll admit that. He got one against the Flames, but in reality, I was hoping for a little bit better from Foligno. And at this point, I said, thank God there is a third period. Then at 3:06, John Klingberg gets a cross-checking penalty. So again, Minnesota's on the power play, but Minnesota says, why bother? Let's just get another penalty on our own. So Eriksson Ek gets an interference call, which I thought wasn't interference at all. It was a play right off the faceoff in which both guys were still somehow tangled up, and the ref calls it for no reason. So it's a 4-on-4, and nothing comes out of that for either side. At 1:55, they made a note that Marcus Foligno was not on the bench. Basically, he had gone to the locker room a little bit earlier because I think he took maybe a shot block or something like that. But he wasn't on the bench at the end of the second. And the Wild, at 35 seconds left in the second period, get another close chance. This one was pretty close, but still can't score. And we move to the third period. Thank God there is a third period in hockey. Otherwise, this game would have been long over. Yeah, I'm looking at the stats now on my computer. Dallas was 2 for 3 on the power play. Minnesota was 0 for 4 on the power play. Hits were dead even, 23-23. Minnesota outshot Dallas 35-26, even though that was not the case at all. Never looked like the case whatsoever. But you can attribute that to the third period, I guess. At the beginning of the third period, they had Bill Guerin in the booth trying to talk about... He talked about how good Boldy had been, even though Boldy... You could also add Boldy to that list of guys that haven't really done much. I mean... I'm hoping for Boldy to be better, but again, he's losing confidence. The whole team is losing confidence. He was talking about the trade deadline, and he basically gave that stereotypical GM answer. Well, we'll see what we have to do, and if there's anything we need to do, we'll fix it. Whatever we can do to put this team in a chance to win. He wouldn't give anything actual. And he talked about how the Wild need to get their swagger back, their confidence back, which I think is what this is at this point. Team doesn't really look confident, and it isn't winning 50-50 battles to the puck. They just don't seem confident. They don't seem like the team we saw before the All-Star break, before all of this was happening. At 16:42, Kaprizov ends up getting hip-checked by the referee on accident, which is just a perfect summary of how the game went. Luckily, the ref blows his whistle because he knew that play should not have happened, because after Kaprizov gets hip-checked by the ref of all people, Dallas ends up getting the puck, but they blow the whistle dead. Nobody really complains at all. It just sucks. Again, 14:42. Minnesota gets some more pressure. At 13:55, a close chance for Minnesota results in a scrum after the play, which eventually leads to John Klingberg getting a penalty for basically headlocking Eriksson Ek. Not sure how that came about, but he's the only one that gets a penalty out of the whole scrum. So we get another power play. And again, I put in capital letters, once again, we can't shoot anything. So we still can't shoot, even though it is the easiest play in all of hockey. It's never your worst option to shoot the puck. If you shoot the puck, there is a chance that the puck could bounce off of something and in. That is how Dallas scored their first goal, actually. Basically, Pavelski threw it on net, it bounces off of Kulikov and goes in. And Minnesota's just afraid to shoot, and I don't know why. And frankly, that's what Evason should tell him. Just shoot, boys. If you shoot, there is a chance that it could just bounce in. It could just bounce in and make everything so much easier. So, after more pressure by Minnesota, Kaprizov getting a lot of ice time, but he's looking tired, and he should just put the fourth line back out there because, again, they're generating chances. Eventually, at 8:41, Evason just says, screw it! We're just going to do it again, like he did again in the game against Florida. He pulls the goalie with 8:41 left. And the Wild suddenly figure out how to shoot. And because of how many shots we are putting on Jake Ottinger, Dallas cannot leave the zone. And for the times they do try to leave the zone, they miss the net. It is an empty net, an open cage, and they miss it. A few of these shots were close. A few of them were like at the top of our blue line, and they missed. Somehow. And eventually, finally, with 3:41 left to go, after we had pulled him with 8 minutes and 41 seconds left, 5 minutes later, we get a goal. Kaprizov gets a 6-on-5 goal, his 27th of the season, assist from Fiala, his 31st, and Zuccarello, his 38th. Basically, Dallas had missed 3 empty nets from this point, and then a 2-on-1 from Fiala causes Kaprizov to basically just get the puck and just come in close on Ottinger and score. Easy play. Then, with 1:57 left, the Wild get another one. Another 6-on-5 goal again from Kaprizov, his 28th of the season. Assists again to Zuccarello, his 39th of the season. And then Spurgeon gets his 18th of the season. Basically, Jason Robertson had a broken stick when trying to defend this. A great diving play from Spurgeon. Whacks it over to Zuccarello, who finds Kaprizov on the back door. He fires and scores. Now, all of a sudden, I'm losing my mind because I'm thinking, holy Lord, could they actually do this? And that is as much excitement as this game would get, because after missing 6 empty nets, finally, Jamie Benn throws it from the length of the ice. He gets his 14th of the season with 1:05 left in the game, an assist from Anton Lundell. Because if you miss the first 6 empty nets, there's no way you're going to miss 7. And apparently, in the middle of that scrum somehow, or it might have been after the next goal, which the next goal was for Jason Robertson. His 29th of the season, 32 seconds left, assisted by Roope Hintz. He gets back-to-back hat tricks. And even though his Winnipeg hat trick looks so much better than this one did, it's still back-to-back hat tricks for Jason Robertson, who is becoming a problem for everybody else. And at some point, mixed in between one of those 2 goals for Dallas, Gaudreau ends up limping off the ice and has to get helped out to the locker room. And that's how the game ends. 6-3, losing to the Dallas Stars. Frankly, we got to get our confidence back. I don't know if we make any deals at the deadline because I don't know what to do. One thing that could help, though, is winning faceoffs, which I won't harp on Gaudreau too much because, of course, he went limping off the ice. But he's a big reason why the Dallas face-off winning percentage was 61 compared to Minnesota's 39. Winning face-offs helps you immensely. And, you know, shooting the puck. If you shoot the puck, it could bounce in. If Evason just tells the guys just to do that, I'm willing to bet we win games. Or at least put them into overtime. If we just shoot on net and ignore passing. Because that is the problem that, like, Kaprizov and Zuccarello have having. And Fiala is a part of this. Boldy's now a part of this. Foligno, Eriksson, heck, everybody is just passing way too much. And because of that, we don't get shots on net. We instead turn over the puck, and it goes back the other way. Just shoot. Even if you don't think it's a good shot, it's never your worst option. It's never your worst option to shoot. It may not be your best. There may have been somebody on the other side, but let's just shoot. Let's just get pucks on net because in that way, at least a puck can bounce off a goalie and go in. I really hope we beat New York because we play the Rangers on Tuesday. We host them again. If we don't beat the Rangers, that same day, the Stars and the Predators are playing. The Predators don't play until Tuesday, neither does Dallas. Neither do we. So we have to win. Because if either one of those teams win when we lose, they will have the 3rd spot in the Central. And we will be a wildcard team when many thought that we could actually be a team that could be dangerous. Seems just about Minnesota for that to happen. Anytime anything starts going good, we just fall apart. And I don't know why the sports gods have cursed that land, cursed the nation. I don't get it. If anybody wants to give me a sign, God, Jesus, anybody want to tell me why you hate Minnesota? Please let me know. If we can fix it, please. We would like to have a break. Just a team that wins a championship. Hopefully this one, because this one is probably one of the teams with the better chances of doing that. I don't see the Twins doing it. I kind of don't see the Timberwolves doing it, but they're on the rise. They're on the rise. They're looking better. Do I see the Vikings doing it? They could, but I don't think they have as good of a chance as this team does. So please, please, God, get us out of our slump. I may even go to church if that causes us to get out of our slump. I may turn back to Catholicism or Christianity or whatever just to get this team back in the win column and hopefully holding the Stanley Cup by the end of May or June, whenever it is. Anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked my suffering and why this team keeps making me want to pound my head through a wall, of course, like I said, like, subscribe, because I'm going to keep posting these, and honestly, hopefully, maybe I'll sound a little bit better, aside from not being sick, but also in a better mood than screaming at my wall for 15 minutes, which I might get back to, because that seems pretty good. But anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on Tuesday when we play New York. Please, for the love of God, win that game.